Hi, I'm Dr. Nick, and I'm making a video about breathing, about helping you to remember how to breathe. I recently read this book. It's called The Science of Breath. It's by Yogi Ramacharaka. And also, I recently did a seminar with Wim Hof, did the Wim Hof method of breathing. And it was a reminder to me about how important it is to breathe and how deprived that people become in their daily breathing. And in this book, Yogi Ramacharaka talks about four different ways of breathing, four different modalities of breathing. And the four different modalities are high breathing, and that's where you're filling the upper part of your lungs. There's mid breathing, and that's where when you breathe, you're expanding your lungs out to the side. And then there's low breathing. That's more of like a abdominal breathing. And then there's a fourth type of breathing. He calls it yogic breathing. And that's where you incorporate all three of the methods, the diaphragmatic, the belly breathing, the rib expansion, and then also the high breathing where you expand the upper ribs as well. The author talks in that book a lot about how people mostly use high breathing. And he says that typically when people are high breathing, they're expending the most amount of effort and receiving the least amount of oxygen. So it's a very inefficient way to breathe. And I notice this happening a lot with people who come into my office. When they become stressed, they often will feel these more tension patterns where they're bringing up their shoulders and their breathing starts to get a little bit more shallow. They tend to become a little bit more anxious, and they're having to breathe a lot faster. So it's like a shallow, rapid, fast breath, and people won't even know it's happening. And in the book, Yogi Ramacharaka talks about an exercise that you can do to feel for yourself the ineffectiveness of high breathing. And the exercise that he points out is by bringing your shoulders up to your ears as high as you can, and then trying to take a deep breath in as deep as you can. So inhale as far as you can. And then when you get to the maximum amount of inspiration in that position, drop your shoulders down and see if you can get more air. Okay? So typically people aren't going to be like this, but oftentimes people working at a desk or going through something stressful throughout the day will end up in this sort of position throughout the day, and that affects your body's ability to breathe. And breathing is very important because it is one of the things that our brain runs off of is oxygen. Our brains depend on oxygen, glucose, and activation for proper function. So this exercise is going to help us give better fuel to our body. To demonstrate the high breathing exercise, to show you the ineffectiveness of it, I recommend that you try this exercise at home. I was shocked when I did it myself. So here's how we're going to do it. Bring your shoulders up to your ears. Take a deep breath in, as much as you can get in, until it feels like you can't get any more in. Then lower your shoulders and see if you can get any more in. Okay? Here we go. So I noticed that when I lowered my shoulders, there was quite a bit more space to get oxygen into my lungs. Okay, so I just demonstrated the high breathing technique, which you preferably want to avoid. Now I'm going to demonstrate the mid breathing exercise. And in the book, Yogi Ramacharaka says that this is not the best method, but it is much better than the high breathing. So here's the mid breathing exercise. This is just where the ribs expand, diaphragm gets pulled up, stomach gets pulled in, and it's all mostly taking place in the midsection of the body. So here it is. And when I do that breathing exercise, I'm definitely noticing more fuller breaths compared to the high breathing. Okay, so thus far we've demonstrated the high and mid breathing. In the high breathing, you're mostly filling the oxygen in your lungs. You're not really circulating the air that's in the lower part of the lung. In mid breathing, you're also dealing with, you're going a little bit deeper than the high breathing as far as where the air is getting circulated and moved through. And mid breathing is definitely more efficient, and you pull in more oxygen than with the high breathing. But there's a better method than the two of them, and that's going to be low breathing. And in low breathing, you not only fill the lower part of the lung, but also the mid part as well. So I'm going to demonstrate that right now. And one thing before I demonstrate it, I also want to say that it is a lot freer for the lungs. The lungs feel a lot more free, and it's easier to get full breaths in with this. So here's the mid breathing. So I'm going to take a deep breath in. And on this one, the upper part of my chest and shoulders are very relaxed. Most of the effort is happening down in my abdomen. And I noticed that I was able to get full deep breaths with that method. So at this point, I've demonstrated high breathing, which is the least efficient mode of breathing. That's where you fill the oxygen in the upper part of your lungs. You're not really using much action in the lower part of your ribs or the abdomen. I've also demonstrated mid breathing. That's where you are starting to activate the diaphragm, but it's a lot of rib expansion out to the side. And mid breathing is substantially better than high breathing. But now what I want to show you is low breathing. Low breathing is where you're going to really fill up the abdomen, okay? And with low breathing, it not only recycles the oxygen in the lower part of the lungs, but it also circulates and recycles the oxygen in the mid part of the lungs. So in order to do this, what you want to do is take a deep breath in, expand your abdomen in all directions ideally, and let your lungs fill completely with air. Okay, so I'll demonstrate that now. Okay, so far I've demonstrated the high breathing technique, which recycles or cycles through the air in the upper part of your lungs. I've demonstrated the mid breathing technique, which cycles through the air in the mid part of the lungs. And I've also demonstrated the low breathing technique, which is really great for circulating the air in the lower part of the lungs and the mid part of the lungs. And as far as the effectiveness of being an efficient breathing technique, those are in order. So the high breathing would be the most inefficient, mid breathing would be more efficient than the high breathing, but the low breathing would be the most efficient of the three. But what I'm going to demonstrate now is what Yogi Ramacharaka talks about as the complete yogic breathing. And with the complete yogic breathing, you're circulating not only the air in the lower and mid lungs, but also the high lungs as well, which got left out by the lower breathing technique. So to do this, what you do is you expand the stomach first, and then once that feels full and fully expanded, you start expanding the ribs outward. And then once that feels fully expanded, you expand the ribs and lungs upward. So you're going through the entire lung range of motion with the complete yogic breathing. And I'll demonstrate that to you right now. So in the book Science of Breath, Yogi Ramacharaka talks about the 4 different types of breathing, the high breathing, mid breathing, low breathing, and the complete yogic breathing. And I highly recommend that you play around with these types of breathing. One thing that he mentioned in the book that I found was a very interesting and inspiring point is that within us, we already have the knowledge how to do this. This is no mystical thing that somebody invented that is beyond your ability. It's already something that you know how to do. Essentially, he's saying that you've just forgotten how to do it. And you can completely train your body back into doing this as your normal standard of breathing. So through diligent practice and consistency, after a while, you'll find that you're just automatically doing these types of breathing exercises. And the benefits of having a proper breathing technique or oxygenating yourself to your full potential is that your body becomes more alkaline, and that's very beneficial for proper metabolism, energy levels, production of energy in the muscles. It makes it so that your body can fight off disease a lot better. It helps with brain function. There's a long list of benefits from having an alkaline body, and breathing is one of the best ways to do that. So through practice over time, it will just become your normal to do this. So I hope that this video was really helpful to you. I hope that you gleaned some information from it. If you have any questions about how to do the breathing exercises or any other types of questions you have about how to improve your health, feel free to leave them in the comments below. Thank you very much for watching. Have a great day.